Welcome everyone, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining Level 3 SAP and Scantrust for this session today. It's for some of you who don't know Level 3, we are a co-working place. We are an enterprise-led co-working in partnership with Unilever Foundry. We host over 65 tech startups, and we have about 7 to 8 corporate partners and 8 ecosystem partners. So it's all about bringing a community together, continuing conversations, and the main idea behind it is to give our startups a platform to get market access through our corporate partners. Scantrust is one of our amazing startup whose journey probably started as soon as we came in. So they were one of our very early on members. So we've known them for a very long time. We've seen them struggle and succeed at the same time. So it's a pleasure to have them over today. And when I was talking to Tim and he was talking to me about their work with SAP, it really resonated with me, especially during this time because of all the COVID supply chain disruptions and how every consumer wants to know where is your product and your food's coming from. We're all dealing with food security. We want to know where the ingredients are coming from. And it is really hard for brands to communicate that. So this session is a sharing session on how Scantrust technology has been helping SAP to do that. But I won't talk more about it because I'll let the experts talk more about it. It is super interesting though. Just a couple of house rules. If you have a question or a comment, please use Q&A for questions and chat for a comment. If you want to know more about Level 3 after the session, I will drop my email in the text. So please just email me and I'm happy to grab a virtual coffee or in person also. Over to you, Tim.
Great. Thanks, Odma, for that nice introduction. Yeah, we've been with Level 3 since the very olden days, and it's been a great journey together. So thanks for that. Nice to be here, and thanks to everybody who's joining today, this afternoon, this morning, wherever you are. Thought just show you quickly our agenda for our time together. That's me up there. I'm Tim, and I'll be going through kind of a little bit of an intro about food traceability and show one of our use cases that one of our projects that Scantrust is working with in Southeast Asia. And I'll pass it over to Eric from SAP, who will do an intro on the material traceability module, kind of how it came to be and what the key benefits are. And then my colleague Ricardo will take us through a live demo of it, which will be probably the more exciting part of us. So I'm gonna hop on to my part now, and yeah, just give you kind of background. Odma kind of covered it on the intro there about food traceability and what's really kind of key market drivers these days. And it's not wrong to say that traceability is really top of mind for a lot of consumers and a lot of the stakeholders that are involved in throughout the supply chain for food and for beverages are looking at what the consumers are asking for, and it's a mixture of safety issues, food security, as well as the personal side, both from a personalization aspect of the consumer themselves, but also who's making this food. Was it fair trade, or is it a sustainable source? And it just happens to be that food, more than our other daily products or things we interact with in our lives, these questions come up quite often, and it's not an easy thing for brands to react to this because there's a lot of moving parts and not a lot happens to be under maybe direct control. So how to address this, how to build trust and demonstrate the commitment to quality, commitment to their consumers. So to kind of help bring these various parts together, it's where Scantrust kind of fits in. So we're a connected goods platform, and we help give physical goods a digital or online identity. So we start at the very beginning with the item itself. It's a pack of chips, it can be a bottle of water, it can be whatever it is, and pair that with a identifier that can connect online. So most typically it's QR code, but it can be some other form. And then once that has been paired together, the online identity is quite open to access other information. And that information can be from an upstream supply source, it can be at a production site, it can be through, for example, SAP, which of course we're going to talk about today. And then that information paired with the physical product can be provided to any user with a smartphone, consumer, an inspector, any supply chain operator, and that interaction there also generates data points. So ways of tracking, doing track and trace, understanding consumer behavior better, channeling promotions, channeling product information. So again, we kind of are the wheel of many spokes going out to these different components. And it kind of came together to show this use case, which we're doing with Knorr in Vietnam. The main challenge was how to connect the certified pork content. This was the shin bone, the tenderloin, and the marrow for this particular set of soup products with the consumers. How to actually show them that it is, for example, Vietgap certified, that it's processed within 24 hours, and other details about it that leads to the actual premium taste of the product. And this was our brief. How do we connect, say, starting from the farm, in this case, the place where the pigs come from, to the processing facilities, and also at the point where the product is actually filled and packaged and shipped out to a consumer. And what we were able to do is connect again the shipment details, the certification, and link together with the QR code on the packaging at the production site to put all this together so that when the consumer does scan the code, they can access all this information on a batch dynamic level. It's not a static story. It changes basically every time they scan a new pack. So as the marketing side is pushing the pork content and leading to the taste, when you actually do scan the pack, again, it opens up a website that is populated with dynamic information from in this middle example, from the farm to the processor, to when it was packaged, and to even when and where you are scanning that pack. So there's kind of a whole website based on the individual sachet, in this case, the pack, because we're using unique QR codes rather than just a standard QR code in this case. And then there's also ways to link the certificate itself for that particular farm. So if they want to, again, if the claim is trust us because we are sourcing from this particular certified farm, here's the certificate itself, for this particular time frame. So there's a lot more that the marketing teams do, of course, in terms of providing recipe ideas, linking to online ways to purchase the product directly. But the program, again, focusing on trust, has been quite successful in terms of giving information. And about 80% of the survey respondents so far in the last year or so are quite positive that they do in fact trust the program or trust the brand more after seeing all this information. And so the flow of product and also the data capture that happens it's not every step along the way, but there are the 3 data points upstream, and then we're collecting that data from both the scan and the factory together, so that this becomes a source of business intelligence for the Knorr brand team in Vietnam. They can see the user engagement flow. They know when consumers are scanning, what SKUs, what the product purchase behaviors are, and a whole lot more. But I'll say that it was not a snap your fingers kind of easy, an easy project. There were a lot of moving parts, and it kind of led us towards working with a partner like SAP, because we felt we have this, we're really addressing the consumer needs here, but it's a lot of work to put all these parts together if we're building from a base. And so our partnership was designed to make this the end product of providing information and allowing the brand to give the traceability information, but easier through this integration with material traceability option. So I'm gonna pass it over to Eric now, and yeah, thanks. I'll stop my share, and Eric, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Also, thanks to Level 3 for having me today, despite SAP not exactly being a, if you will, a startup. So let me see here. Tim, does this look okay on your side?
Yep.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Eric Somich. I'm with SAP in what we call the Industry Business Unit for Consumer Products and Agribusiness. And I'll be sharing a little bit about SAP Logistics Business Network material traceability today with you. One of our newest solutions, and obviously it's the solution that Scantrust and we have been working together to integrate to make end-to-end material traceability with full consumer transparency possible. So yeah, without further ado, diving right into it. So going back a bit to what Tim said, with looking at the entire food supply chain from the farmer all the way to the consumer, SAP has designed SAP Logistics Business Network Material Traceability to basically cater to all stakeholders in the food supply chain. And that's because at the end of the day, all these supply chain stakeholders, they are looking for transparency, whether it's the food manufacturer who wants to provide transparency to the consumers, or the retailer themselves who wants to ensure the safety of everything sold on their shelves, or for instance also the raw material supplier who wants to be regarded as a trusted supplier to the entire supply chain of quality commodities and also be paid accordingly. So if you look at the end-to-end supply chain transparency, there are basically 4 areas of value add which companies and other stakeholders all the way to the consumer will be able to create. First of all, there's provenance, which will help to build trust through transparency, and trust creates brand value, but it's not only relevant to consumers and to consumer good companies, it also is relevant to intermediaries that want to trust what they buy and make sure their customers trust them. And that's been probably the key area of focus when we designed SAP Logistics Business Network Material Traceability. And then the other key area really is product or food safety through recalls, which also works on all stages of the supply chain. And then also very important is obviously increased sustainability, reduced waste, and compliance to all regulations, which is an area that is growing and growing, especially in the food industry quite immensely. Also in this time of crisis and pandemic, there have been a number of anecdotes that we could tell about the German market. So where now there are different or new regulations coming up for meat processors, for instance. So that's also an important area. And then last but not least, combating counterfeiting is becoming more and more important for many companies, and of course also for their customers and respectively the consumers who want to make sure that whatever they buy is actually legitimate and genuine. So those have been really the areas for us where we focused most on in the development of the solution. Therefore, to enable transparency through end-to-end supply chain data sharing, the material traceability solution is leveraging blockchain as the key technology. And that allows companies to connect with the entire upstream and downstream supply chain by sharing product provenance information in this trusted shared data ledger called blockchain. And that provides transparency and visibility in an industry where trust really is the key asset or one of the key assets. So looking a bit at the functionality and the technical components of the solution, basically at its heart, the solution supports end-to-end multi-ingredient, I say food traceability, but it doesn't have to be food. It could also be other materials, but you know, since we're focusing here on food, so multi-ingredient food traceability on batch level, which really typically is how food is traced company in-house and also externally from company to company. And that allows companies to trace the provenance of a material from the origin of the raw materials through all steps of intermediary processing until basically the production and then the delivery of the finished product. And in addition, the cloud application also has alerting capabilities, for instance, to streamline recalls. Now, the material traceability solution is delivered as a software as a service solution on the SAP, what is called the SAP Cloud Platform, which is our open platform for delivering any cloud-based solutions. And it leverages the SAP Cloud Platform blockchain service for multi-chain. So multi-chain is the underlying blockchain technology we're using here, and using that standard open source multi-chain technology really enables companies to either initiate their own permissioned blockchain network as a network owner, as we call them, or by inviting their supply chain partners as network participants, or to join, alternatively, to join an already existing network if there is a network and the company doesn't want to initiate an own network. Now, to give a bit of a feeling for how this all looks, so this is one of the graphical UIs that we have for the solution. You will see here in the center is really the product that was produced by the company running this analysis. You have, in this case, a batch of chocolate bars. And then you see going back from, where's my mouse? Going back from here all the way upstream to the source, and also this way downstream to the retail customers. In this case, you can see through the analysis of the batches what all was used to produce the product, and then also what was used to produce any intermediary ingredient in this case. So you have full visibility by having onboarded all supply chain partners to the network, and them sharing their information about the products that they produce and the respective key information about the product, such as, for instance, in this case, allergens or other quality information. By sharing all this information, you have the full transparency all the way to the source about what was used, where, and how to produce then finally the chocolate bars. Good. So this is really, these are the main things I wanted to share about the solution. We have one very interesting reference case, which I would like to share with you from a company called Bumblebee Foods to make this a bit more tangible for everyone, what the solution actually does and how our customers can use this. So Bumblebee Foods is a North American seafood company. They mostly are in the business of tuna, whether it's fresh tuna or canned tuna. What they wanted to do is basically be able to track the fish that is caught in mostly in Asia, typically off the coast of small islands of Indonesia, from Indonesia, from those islands, all the way to the US, to US grocery retailers and also to US restaurants. So what they're doing now by using the SAP solution and by scan codes that barcodes that consumers or restaurant owners can scan on the package of tuna steaks, the consumers, the restaurant owners, but also the grocery retailers, they can see the full journey that that tuna takes from Indonesia, from those islands, exactly which fishermen caught the tuna, what fishing method was used, all the way to the actual restaurant or retailer where it's then sold. Good. That's all I wanted to share, and with that, I'll hand it back over to Ricardo. If I can stop sharing, I need to find the right screen. Sorry, guys.
No problem. All right, thanks, Eric. So while we get ready for this, I'm going to start sharing my screen now. So you should be able to see my screen now. Can someone quickly confirm?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So what I will be doing in the next 5 to 10 minutes is just making our collaboration with SAP a little bit more tangible with a live demo. So Tim gave us an introduction of how the Scantrust platform works and a bit the bigger picture. Eric explained the details of the material traceability option, and we have developed an integration which combines both together. So today we are able to essentially link a Scantrust unique QR code to a physical product and as a unique ID on the product, and then load the information from SAP directly onto the mobile phone of a user, such that they are able to see the provenance of the goods that they are buying. And in parallel, the brands are able to see and monitor the interactions that users are having with the product. So in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'll be demonstrating 3 things. I'll start with the SAP material traceability solution. Then I'll show the mobile user interface of what end users actually see. And then I'll give you a quick walkthrough over the Scantrust dashboard. So what we see here in front of me is the material traceability solution user interface from SAP. And what this shows here is a list of batches from the demonstration that we did. So what you see here is a list of different batches of ingredients of a chocolate bar, which is the example that we used for our integration. So you see the batches of butter that were used to make the different chocolate bars, the batches of baking powder, the cocoa beans, and so on. So I'm going to take an example here. of the chocolate cream, which is one of the ingredients of the chocolate bar. And I'll show this graphical UI that Eric was already sharing before. And what you see here is what Eric explained before live. You see that there is a finished good, so a chocolate nut bar that is delivered to retailer. And via the material traceability option, we can then follow back the path from when this chocolate bar was actually a batch of chocolate cream. And we can then follow back how this chocolate cream was created and came about. And we see that there is one path which is for sugar, which is one of the ingredients of the chocolate bar. There's one path which is for palm oil, which is another ingredient. And then there is this path in the middle, which is the path for the cocoa, the actual chocolate ingredient. And we can see how it goes from being a chocolate bean in Africa to being processed to cocoa mass and cocoa butter, and then finally becoming chocolate cream in Germany and being processed into a chocolate bar. And now this information is highly relevant for brands from a supply chain point of view to trace back the provenance of their goods for sustainability purposes, and also for product recall purposes, as Eric pointed out. For example, if there's something wrong with palm oil or chocolate, the brands can trace back where exactly it came from and recall the bars from specific areas. Now, what we also have here is an opportunity to communicate this information to an end consumer and show them specific information about their chocolate bar. And what we typically see is that brands that produce chocolate bars or other goods, they make a claim similar to what Tim outlined in Knorr. And this claim could, for example, be all our chocolate bars only use cacao beans that are coming from certified sources in Africa and are produced in a fair way. And here consumers scan the QR code, and here you see the proof for that. So what we have done is we have built an integration that takes this cacao path and then links it to a unique QR code and shows it to the end consumer, such that he has an engaging journey to see the actual data from the company's supply chain. So this is the next part of the demonstration. I'll pull up my screen here, and I'm now going to connect my phone. So let's see if this all works out. You should now be able to see my phone screen. Can someone quickly confirm?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So now I'm going to scan this QR code that you see here on the right. By the way, you can do the same and also scan the same QR code if you are curious to see what it looks like directly on your phone. And now you see here the product image of a chocolate bar. So this is what the consumer would see if they scan the code on the packaging. And you see that there's different types of information about this bar. Some of them are related to the product itself, like nutritional details. And then there is this track and trace history, which is the heart piece of this page, which essentially shows us the whole journey of how the chocolate bar came from being a batch of beans harvested in Africa to being processed to cocoa butter, to being processed to chocolate cream, to then being processed to a bar and then shipped to Germany. And all the information that the consumer sees here is directly coming from the SAP system and visualized on the mobile phone, which I think is the main innovation that we have here, because we are able to combine these two systems and leverage the same provenance data for multiple purposes. And the consumer can also just follow each individual step on a geographical map and really see how the chocolate bar moved from Africa all the way to Germany. So this is the track and trace history. Now, what is interesting and what we have experienced is that brands typically then recognize the opportunity that they have here, because now they have managed to engage the consumer. So they have the consumer's attention. A consumer has their mobile phone in their hand and is thinking about the brand. So they use this touch point also for all types of other interactions and convey information, such as information on the sustainability of the chocolate bar, or this could be the onboarding to a loyalty program or some promotions, or like the example we have here, asking for feedback on the product. So you can use the same touch point to also ask your customers to tell you what they think about the product. Like, do they really like it, or is there something that they could improve, and more. So this is an example that shows how we can leverage this provenance data on the one hand for supply chain operations, and on the other hand for end consumer engagement. So this is the second view from the consumer's point of view. And then there is the third view, which is the brand itself that is naturally interested in getting insights from this interaction. So what we see here is the Scantrust dashboard, which shows us in real time all the interactions that are happening with the individual QR codes in this demonstration that we have here. So we see the total number of scans, we see the scans over time, we see the operating systems of the mobile phones, we see the top countries from where the scans come from, and we can then also visualize that on a geographical map. And we see that we already have a couple of scans here from Singapore, possibly a couple of them coming from today. Here we have one 3 minutes ago, so some people are scanning the codes as we speak. So this map shows the brand managers from where their scans are coming from, and the details of it. And if we go into the details, we then see the actual details of each scan. So we see here my scan that I did from Berlin, and then we see a couple of scans from Singapore. Looks like someone is also joining in from Spain, and someone from India, and this allows a brand manager to really see what is going on with their campaign, how many people are interacting with it. And as Tim showed before in the Knorr example, we are able to then go also one level deeper and analyze the patterns of users on the web pages to get really deep insights. And the best of that is, since we're a company based in Europe, and a lot of our clients are also in Europe, this is naturally all GDPR compliant and adherent to the latest privacy laws. So we don't process any personally identifiable information. It's all anonymized information. So there is no way for us to link back the actual identity of a user to this scan. So this was the demo part. So in summary, I think what we have here is an opportunity for brands to deliver compelling stories around the provenance of their products in a mobile experience, and at the same time generate valuable data on their users and get additional insights on these users to improve their marketing efforts and improve also the loyalty of the consumers for their particular brand and engage with them in a meaningful way. And with this, I think we are at the end of our presentation and just on time for some questions and comments from the audience. Before we go into that, Tim, Eric, any closing comments from your side?
I love actually the actual demonstration here of the real-time integration between your solution and mine by the attendees here scanning the barcode on the screen and this showing up in your analysis. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. We got looked like Chennai, Barcelona, and Singapore. I should have scanned in Bangkok, but
yeah,
wasn't fast enough. Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah. So yeah, no, open up for any questions there. Maybe I saw that there was one in the chat.
There's one on the panel, yeah. Thomas Cartu is asking whether Scantrust also integrates with SAP ERP, or S4 without LBN?
Yeah, so maybe I can take that question. We have started working on integrations. Naturally, SAP, and Eric knows this much better than myself, but SAP has a lot of different modules, and every module works a little bit different. We will never be able to have an integration to all the different modules of SAP. But what we did start working on is on an integration with the sales data and material management database. So what we see in a lot of cases in other projects of ours is that some brands don't necessarily only want to link provenance information to their individual codes, but also other information that sits in their SAP system, such as, for example, what distributor did I ship this product to, or what is the batch number or the ID that this product has in our system, or a very typical example is which market is this product intended to. For example, should it be sold in Vietnam or should it be sold in China, so that they are able to keep track if anyone is maybe buying their product in China and reselling it in Vietnam illegally, and they're able to track this parallel import. So in short, yeah, we are looking also at other integrations with SAP, but the main one that we worked so far was the LBN integration that we presented today.
Yeah, I guess so. Open was suggesting, I get if questions come along, but maybe Eric Ricardo, you can tell the beginning of where Scantrust came with SAP.io and how this, like, how we first got together back last year. But okay, what would typical budget for such a project?
So I think we have a question here in the Q&A section that we can start with. How or what libraries can we use to create a solution along with Scantrust if we do not use IBM or SAP in our ERP system? Tim, do you want to take that, or should I go?
Well, it can be other ERPs. We would just need to, figure out how to access that information, or more importantly, which information is desirable to show to somebody, and where does it access, and can we, for example, work with we have REST API systems. We can work in upload scripts or different ways of accessing it, but yeah, it can be other ERPs or library data depending on where it sits.
Yeah, so I think the way we did the integration with the SAP LBN solution is that essentially the LBN solution offers an API. So it's a REST API that allows to retrieve data from the SAP material traceability solution. That was quite easy and user-friendly to integrate with. So what we did is we built a small infrastructure between Scantrust and the SAP system that retrieves that information from SAP and shows it on the mobile landing page, and we use their REST APIs to do that. Similar to that, we can also think of integrating into other systems, of course. So if you have a system that you want to use together with Scantrust, we would look at APIs that you have available and see how we can integrate. And on the other side, as Tim mentioned, we also, our own system is designed in a very open way, with APIs that allow you to use the Scantrust system in whatever way you need to do that.
So maybe I can add to that from the SAP side. So for the material traceability solution, we also don't require customers to be using SAP ERP or S4. We have, like the API Scantrust is using to retrieve data from the solution and from the blockchain. We also have an API that allows customers to upload information about the batches that they are producing to the solution, to the blockchain. So it can be any backend really. It doesn't have to be an SAP ERP backend.
Cool. So if I could throw in one question, and that's more on the big picture space, from level 3 point of view and others, I've always been very interested in when startups first start to work with companies like SAP, it's a very, it can be a very daunting and difficult process, right? Like, how was that experience? How did you guys start? And like, from both ways, from Ricardo and Tim, what was your, how did you get there in? And Eric, from your point, how did you handle the stakeholders internally to convince them that this is a great partnership and we should try it? Like, people tend to know about it, that it's great to, work with startups and stuff, but there can always be some sort of a hesitation, and there's lots of things that you need to do internally before you can kick off projects like this. So if you could just share some of your experience on that before we close this.
Sure. Maybe I can start here. So I think we had been in conversations with SAP since many years, because it came up in almost every project that we did. But really the partnership started off in the beginning of last year, because SAP offers in an accelerator program called SAP.io, which is active all around the world. So there's cohorts in Berlin, San Francisco, in Tel Aviv, I think, and a few other spots. And that program essentially has the goal to identify startups that can build or that offer a solution that can extend SAP systems in a meaningful way, and then get them through a 12-week program where you identify what are the best integration options, where is there a business value, and then you start working on integrations. And the end goal then is that you become an SAP partner and can offer this combined solution. And I think this accelerator program for us was a really great translation engine for what you brought up, Upma, because the people that were running the acceleration program were very well connected in the organization. So they were the ones that helped the startups to identify which stakeholders within SAP could be interesting partners to work with. And I think the way via this accelerator, then that was one of the main points how the connection to Eric's team was established, because actually I think our CEO presented in an event for the consumer goods industry where there were some SAP customers, and one of them was interested in the solution, and via that we then got connected to Eric's team. So maybe Eric, you want to share a few lines from your side as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the way it happened and worked in this case. So I think really, from our perspective, because of the SAP.io program, which SAP has set up, because we value and understand the importance of innovative startups. Through that program, obviously, we're identifying interesting startups as potential partners. And because Scantrust had already gone through that program, when we got in touch, it was actually fairly easy on my side. I didn't have to convince people internally anymore that this is a good startup to work with and to invest the time on the integration. So from my perspective, it was easy. And the
That's
company is great to work with. I mean, to say that, you know, to work with Scantrust on this integration was easy from our side because you know, they had good technical skills. All we really had to do is provide the information about the API they're using, and pretty much everything else they did self-sufficiently. So, good job.
Just to say that we also received a lot of support from the SAP side. Not to do that.
cool. So you can see me gushing because, you know, we're always very proud of our startup success, and, you know, we don't have much to do in it, but it's always a very proud moment for us. So thank you for that. And Eric, you know, thank you so much for sharing, because, you know, we're a very big promoter of corporates working with startups, and having been a founder myself, I've realized that's the only way a startup can really, you know, get market access and the expertise to expand more and create better and faster impact. So thank you so much. And I'm sure this is not the last of our conversations. As you guys do more and more projects, we'd love to have you back and share this with our community. And I'll take this opportunity to also thank everybody to join us. We had quite a few people joining us at Facebook Live and over here. So thank you so much for joining us. If you still have some questions that you were not able to ask right now, just drop us an email and we would get an answer for you back. Please keep a lookout, follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook to know about our upcoming events. So yeah, once again, thank you so much and have a fantastic evening. Thank you.
I think there was one more question that we hadn't answered yet, so I would just like to take the chance for that. I think Thomas Kastu asked about what is the typical budget for a project, and I think it's hard to give like a direct figure, but maybe what we can say is what are the different levers that influence, or how do like the pricing models typically work, because I think that might make sense to understand. So from a Scantrust point of view, the way we approach a project is that we usually we charge a subscription fee for our platform, and we have a unique fee per individual code that you use. So the fee is progressively lower. So the more unique codes you use, the lower is the fee per unique code. And then we have a small implementation fee, which is used for like actually implementing the project. And then I think Eric, maybe you want to very briefly explain how your pricing model works, so that Thomas.
Absolutely, yeah. So I guess in a way it's similar. I mentioned that this is also a software as a service solution. So we have a subscription model as well, which also, you know, is based, is volume based in our case. So a bit similar to Scantrust, where it's per code. We have a model where we look at the amount of batches being produced, which then ultimately get tracked. And then similar to Scantrust, you know, the more you produce, then the less we charge per batch. So it gets progressively smaller as well. And we also have a prepackaged implementation service that customers can buy if they don't want to actually do the implementation itself. But the implementation is small, so we do all the provisioning as part of the subscription, and then the implementation is really a small project.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic evening, everyone.
Great. Yeah.
Thank you.